today I'm back again talking about the Pirates of the Caribbean film franchise. Today talking about the fourth film in the franchise, which is the 2011 Rob Marshall film, Pirates of the Caribbean on the Stranger Tides. Starting off with the positives, I think this film just has a brilliant start again, like the previous films. It's good where Jack disguised himself as a judge, and then he actually frees Mr. Gibbs, a character who's been in the other films as well. And then a big fight breaks out, which is really entertaining, where Jack's he's on a horse and the guard's just chasing him down the road. And then he hides from them, and then one guard does actually see him. But then Keith Richards comes back as Captain Teague, who we've seen in At World's End, who I thought was a brilliant character. And they have a little talk, and I think it's great how we got this character back, because I know he only has little screen time, but just to see him even once is just brilliant, I think. It's also revealed right away that Barbossa, one of the main characters in the franchise, he actually lost the Black Pearl, which is quite shocking to Jack. And his leg, he has a little peg leg that he walks around with now. I also noticed there's some really good cameos of famous actors in this film. There's a part at the start where we see Judi Dench, and we also see Richard Griffiths. Obviously, there's also Keith Richards, who I've said. There's also Stephen Graham, who's quite a famous actor. But he's not really a cameo, I wouldn't say, because he actually, has a role to play in this film. He's in it throughout. And there's also a new character we are introduced to in this film called Angelica, who we find out, obviously, used to date Jack in the past. And they have a really cool and interesting sword fight at the start of the film, where she actually disguises herself as Jack Sparrow. And they'll be found out later she turns out to actually be Blackbeard's daughter. I also find this film quite a bit more brutal than the previous ones. Maybe this is because of a different director. We know Gore Verbinski did the previous three films and doesn't do this film or the next film. But it's definitely more brutal on the ship halfway through the film, where someone literally gets impaled. That's something I don't think we've seen from the past. We've obviously seen a lot of sword fights and a lot of guns, but not quite brutal stabbing. But one of the most terrifying things and exciting things that we get to see, I think you guys will agree with me, is when Ian McShane's Blackbeard is revealed. He's just so terrifying, and the way they reveal him is just so good because they're talking about him before, and he comes out the dark and everyone just goes quiet because of how, menacing and he is, and just how terrified they are of him. Because he's the pirates that all pirates fear, so obviously they're going to be scared. And then he single-handedly captures the entire crew, because he controls the ship, the ropes and stuff, which is kind of cool. I'm not really sure. And then there's this small boat with literally one person on there, and he goes like that, and it just fires all over and obviously kills him. He's just such a brilliant villain for this film. Probably the star form, in my opinion. Maybe Johnny Depp, but I think Ian McShane as Blackbeard was really brilliant. He did really steal the show, I have to say. As a villain, he was just brilliant. One thing that I do think was better in this film than in the previous movie, At World's End, is there is more of a storyline here, where they're trying to find the Fountain of Youth. And, the last film, I said the storyline was a bit all over the place, of how the pirates coming together and the heart of Davy Jones is, it's a bit weird. There's also a really exciting and intense scene where the mermaids actually appear from the water, and all the crew are trying to stay calm, but then the mermaids start to charm the pirates, and then they actually try to kill them, and a big fight breaks out. It was a very entertaining scene, I have to say. I did like this. I like it how throughout the film, Jack Sparrow is showing Blackbeard, so he's working with him. Well, not really, because obviously Jack doesn't really like Blackbeard because he's a bad guy. And then Barbossa is with the guards, working for King George, and they're also trying to get to the Fountain of Youth with a different group. And then they actually find each other, and they come together and start working together, which I do like, because it's obviously he was actually the villain in the first film, and then in the third film they were coming together, and I thought this was good. One other really comedic part I like about this film is where Jack and Blackbeard first go into the Fountain of Youth, I guess the area where it is, and Barbossa and the guards are just waiting there, and Barbossa's at Blackbeard's under arrest. Obviously Blackbeard's not going to have any of this, and they're about to fight all of them, a big fight, and then Jack says, stop guys, why don't you two just fight? And then everyone's and they just start fighting. It's really entertaining. I thought Ian McShane, considering he's about 70, 69 when he does this film, he was quite good. You know, he walks around quite a bit. He's very menacing, has to shout quite a bit, and even does a bit of sword fighting. So, you know, good on him. I thought that was quite good of him. Lastly, I know I have said this in previous films, but I can't emphasize how good the outfits are, especially on Blackbeard's outfit, because it's one we've never seen before, in this whole franchise, really. But in this film, they were really good. And the music was also good. Obviously, the classic She's a Pirate theme, which we do see in this film again. Moving on to the negatives. For a start, I do find it weird, I think you guys will too, how Elizabeth and Will, who are literally two of the main characters in besides Jack in this whole franchise, aren't in this film at all, which I find is strange, considering that, you know, they're in the film after this one. But I did look up this, and apparently Keira Knightley and both Orlando Bloom, the actors, were just working on other films, didn't have time. I don't really get why they couldn't just wait a little bit longer until, you know, maybe they were both available at times to shoot for this film, because obviously they want to, because they're in the next film. I'm not really sure. Also, there are just some silly parts, like where Jack and Barbossa are tied up, and then Jack like climbs up the tree and flings himself. That's just a bit stupid. And then, obviously the guards know that he's escaped. And then Jack literally gets one rope when 10 guards are running at them, just ties them around a tree, which I think is just a bit stupid. I then think, as much as it was cool the way Blackbeard died, with the cups and next to his daughter Angelica, I'm kind of annoyed that he died in the first film that he's in. Like, I feel like they just could have included him in more films. Because he's supposed to be like the pirate that all pirates are feared of, like the greatest pirate ever, and he just dies in the first film he's in, which is a bit strange. And again, there are just some really long and boring scenes that just, at times when I was watching this, I was just really uninterested. Like, I was like, why? Like, let's just move on. Sometimes there's no point. Overall, this film was entertaining and exciting with Blackbeard. I find it strange how Rob Marshall directs this film. But then the next film, Salazar's Revenge, the latest one in the franchise, has different directors, which is a bit weird. He only does one and Gore Verbinski does two. Again, this is probably the worst film in the franchise that I've seen so far. Obviously, I've never seen the new one, but I will watch it and do a review on it. But this franchise has honestly been going downhill since the start. I think the first two, Curse of the Black Pearl and Dead Man's Chest, are really good. And then At World's End is pretty good. But this film was alright, not brilliant. I would have to give it probably just a 6.5 out of 10. It wasn't awful. But it's just missing some simple elements that could have made it better. But what did you guys think of Rob Marshall's Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides? Let us know down below, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.